James Bond. James Bond.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I drink your milkshake.
You can't handle the truth.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa!
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Movie Mafia podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Chow. We're back again with Gabby, Max. Lauren couldn't make it today. You know, that's okay. She had a couple things come up last minute. But we're still here to give you all the movie news that you could ever need. And I'm so excited to be back, guys. How have you guys been? How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah,
Good to
I
hear.
mean, I'm doing pretty great. This is, as a superhero, we talk about superheroes every week. This was probably the best week we've gotten from superhero content in a while. So this was a fun week for me.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. So Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I wanted to start off with them first. You know, I know everyone, I mean, we're the WandaVision podcast. So post WandaVision, what's going to happen to our podcast? You know, I think a lot of us were kind of thinking about that. And, you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier is here now. We've got our first taste of it. So, you know, so what'd you guys think of the episode?
So I actually wrote down like my thoughts while I was watching it like for the first time because like I've only like Marvel, the only movies I've watched or even shows is just WandaVision. So like I haven't watched all the other Marvel movies yet. So this one I was going in kind of really blind to anything. So I know I just wrote my thoughts down. So,
So-
that was my thoughts. Well,
So
Yeah.
what kind of thoughts did you have on it? You know, what did you think, you know, good or bad about the episode?
so I really liked the episode. Like I was sitting there and imagining like what that movie would be like in 3D because it was so well like produced.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Like you know when you're watching a movie that you're not into or you don't understand, like watching Hamlet or something and you sit there and you start to think like beyond Hamlet. Like that's kind of what I was doing when I was thinking like imagine if this was like real life. Like imagine like we have superheroes like on our planet and that kind of thing. And like I think people like superhero movies so much because it puts them in that alternate world and stuff like something that we can't have. So like that was the kind of thoughts I was having, super deep thoughts because like it was hard for me to understand. I picked up on like a couple of things but for the most part I was pretty confused. It was good, like I was interested. I just was trying to fill in some gaps that like I have.
Yeah, and you know, that totally reminded me of how I thought about the first episode of WandaVision, where it was black and white, it was all over the place. I'm like, what is happening? You know, what the hell is going on? I was very confused too. So I kind of felt like a very obvious parallel between the first episode of both shows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can go if you want.
Go ahead.
I was talking to Gabby too about this before. I kind of get her confusion too because this show more than WandaVision heavily references the Captain America franchise and the Captain America character as a whole. So if you're not really familiar with even the War Machine cameo, the Rhodey cameo, then you know there's also stuff flying through there. I really did enjoy the episode. It wasn't special or anything. I thought it was a good introduction to the characters because what I loved about it was the effects of the blip from Avengers Endgame. I thought was shown very well in this episode. I thought the second Spider-Man movie and even WandaVision didn't really tackle it that much. It just everything was just back to normal. And the idea of Sam and his sister going through stuff that maybe you can get away with 5 years before the blip, but because of what happened, that's affected Sam's life. And the irony that Bucky's like over 100 years old and he's been fighting he said like 90 years of my life. I've just been fighting, nothing else but fighting. I thought was interesting. Really heartbreak when we find out that he's the one who killed the old man's son. I thought that was a really good reveal in this episode. And the music, I'm a huge score person. This is this composer who did The Winter Soldier. And I love The Winter Soldier. I don't know if you love The Winter Soldier too, Jacob, but
Yeah,
that's
for
one of my favorite MCU films. And it felt like and Bucky's theme when the flashback scene, that was the best part of the entire episode. I had chills because his music was playing. It felt like The Winter Soldier. So I enjoyed the episode. I'm very looking forward to what's next.
100%.
So two things. So one, okay, why are they like 100 years old plus? What's up with that? Can someone explain?
Well, for Captain America, when they were in like the 40s fighting World War II, he went down with the plane. Like he had a plane full of like Nazi warheads and stuff. And so to save everybody's life, he kind of like went down with the plane over like in Antarctica or something like that. And when the plane crashed, he was covered in ice and was like and was frozen basically, and he was preserved. So then when Captain America was found and thawed out of the ice, he was completely preserved.
But Bucky.
And for Bucky, you'll go ahead, Max. You got it.
Yeah, for Bucky in the first film, he falls off a train, falls basically off a cliff. Hydra picks him up, gives him new. He's not all. I mean, he's not like Cyborg, where he's half human, half mechanical. But he has the mechanical arm, and they mix with his memories. So that's why in that flashback, that really isn't the Bucky we see when he wakes up in the dream. They've mind messed with him in that scene.
Yeah, so Hydra is kind of like the equivalent of the Nazis, basically, and they when the Winter Soldier or Bucky was fighting with Captain America in World War II or World War One, I think it might have been World War One, I forget. When he was fighting with them, yeah, like Max said, Bucky fell off a train into like an abyss and was thought to be dead. But the Hydra or basically the Nazis captured him, experimented on him, broke his mind, and made him a mind-controlled villain to fight for them, known as the Winter Soldier. And I think the reason why he's alive so long is he wasn't frozen or in ice or anything. Yeah, he wasn't frozen in ice or anything. I think they probably pumped him with like all this crazy like stuff to make him stronger and like just and that is the byproduct of that is extending his life.
And also about the episode too, I do want to bring up how great these two actors are getting a chance to do, again, just like Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany getting a lead show. You don't really see anything led movie or TV show wise from Mackie or Sebastian Stan. Yeah. I love Sebastian Stan and everything he's in outside of the MCU. I thought his stuff, I had nothing wrong with what they did with Winter Soldier. Every scene I loved with the Winter Soldier. I did think Sam, once you got to his sister part, it definitely was not as fascinating as Bucky's stuff, but I still enjoyed it. But Bucky was amazing this episode.
Okay, well, back to Jacob's point where he was explaining to me like why, like he was like what Hydra did, whatever, like that whole thing. Yeah. But now, because one of my notes was the title is Winter Soldier, but where's the snow? Like I was expecting like the setting to take place in like an Antarctica kind of base, but now that it makes sense why I did not see snow and his name is Winter Soldier. Yeah, I put two and two together.
Yeah. So that's a lot of the reasons why, if you remember, Bucky is talking to his therapist, and is like one of the conditions of your pardon is that you talk to a therapist, because he's being pardoned for all the horrendous like killings and murders he committed, but while he was brainwashed. So it wasn't him really. So they're letting him they're pardoning him on the condition he does this therapy, so that they're sure he's not going to revert to his brainwashed self. And be a killer again.
That's so. I know. I honestly loved the therapy thing so much. Like I literally wrote down, I like that a superhero ? Because I don't know if he's like a superhero or I'm not really sure. We'll get to that one in a minute. But goes to therapy, and I wrote very relatable. Like I feel like this is like so modern. Yeah, I get a lot of like old timey references, but they're on like smartphones. Not old timey, but like foreign language kind of thing, and they're on smartphones and all that kind of thing. And I was like, oh man, now he goes to therapy. Like what a millennial thing to do. So
for sure.
And that scene of him, and that scene of him like talking about the 3 rules that the therapist listed, and he really didn't do the first 2. Like he obviously hurt the guy and messed with their car, but then the funniest line was like, I'm not the Winter Soldier anymore. My name is Bucky Barnes. I'm here to amend my mistakes. Like I laughed my ass off during that scene.
Because I thought he was gonna lean into the car, pull out a gun, and just like murk the person in there.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is part of my therapy. I'm not the Winter Soldier anymore. I'm Bucky Barnes. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for letting me beat the crap out of you.
It was funny. It was funny for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing to Gabby's point, kind of like humanizing or grounding the show. I thought the way he went on that date with the girl, or the way that his interaction with the
Yeah.
girl was totally, I could totally see, a guy being like, a father figure, kind of like he wants to go on a date with you, and then he'd be like, oh no no
Mhm.
no, that, and the way the way he
Yeah.
walked everything back. I mean, he's a superhero basically who's killed hundreds of people, been in countless wars, and fought Thanos, and he doesn't know how to talk to a girl.
And now
Like I just think that is such like that's so funny to me, and I think is
he doesn't
very
know how to
relatable.
talk to a girl. He has to go to therapy. Like, I just find that
Exactly.
so funny and ironic, like you were saying, yeah.
Yeah. Then
He's not perfect, and he's not perfect. He has, as you said, he has a list of mistakes that he wants to fix, which I think is great with superheroes, is that they're all not these perfect, godlike people.
For sure. Absolutely. And it's really sad also watching the show. I mean, there's a couple really sad moments where, you see the reveal of the fact that he killed, I forget what that guy's name, he killed
Mhm.
his son, and that's the reason why he was doing so much to spend time with him and talk to him, is because he felt guilty for when he was the Winter Soldier, he killed this guy's son. And he's trying to right all his wrongs. Um,
Mhm.
and a byproduct of that was, like we saw the scene where he's on the date with the girl, and she's like, oh, the worst part is not knowing. And then instantly right
Yeah.
there that is affecting him, because that's affecting Bucky, because um he killed the guy's son. So he storms over to the apartment, sees the little ceremony sort of thing, or tribute he has up for his son, and he can't bring himself to tell him. It's very sad. I mean, for me, those Bucky scenes, those Winter Soldier scenes, were by far the best of the episode. Like I did not like Sam's or the Falcon scenes at all. I've always thought he's such an underwhelming hero that has like, I get that he hasn't had an opportunity to really showcase himself in too many things. But to me, he's just a less interesting version of Captain America, who, let's be honest, had his own issues with being like standing out. Like Cap is a great hero, but there's a dimension of him that's always going to be bland, that like that makes a character like Tony Stark that much more interesting. And you took a character that already has some issues and just made a even dumbed down version of him in Falcon for me. And on top of that, his tech like isn't that cool, and he doesn't have any powers. He just has like a suit that is just like not as cool as Iron Man's suit. So I really struggle for me when I'm watching the Falcon scenes. I am just like, please go back to the Winter Soldier. Like I just the character is so much more complex and so much more interesting and relatable, on a way that like Falcon is incredibly smart. He's almost genius levels of smart, and developing on all this tech himself. And he works for the government. I'm sure makes a ton of money working for the government, and has so much pull and influence because he's a superhero. But yet he can't help his family, who's like struggling to keep like their fishing business alive. Like I just don't believe that. Like it's not relatable at all. Like I get they're trying to be relatable, and that like he has small town issues, even though he's a big kind of personality. But I just don't believe that he has those issues, and that he can really like that he's really facing those issues. Like I just don't for I never for a second bought into the fact that him or his family was really in danger. Like it just to me that wasn't done very well, and that really took the episode down for me.
Yeah,
I
I can see that.
I really enjoyed the first scene of him fighting the opening scene, the open battle. I really enjoyed, especially because they brought back the guy who fought Captain America on the boat in Winter Soldier, to do that opening fight scene with the main guy who runs the bad guys in the opening scene against Sam. But what I kind of see your points, but what is interesting about Sam this season is that it seems like Sam's being completely set up by the government this entire episode. Um, I think that when he turned in the shield to the museum, the people were like, "Thank you so much. We'll keep you here. We'll do all this for you. We'll give you all the benefits." And then they just give it to a new Captain America at the end of the episode. Sam then, I think the guy who Sam continues to talk with, the military dude, we had that when he talks to throughout the episode. I don't think he's going to be on Sam's side at the end of the day. And it just feels like Sam is being, even Rhodey kind of warned him in their discussion that Sam's kind of being set up right now. and the end of the episode was a cherry on top of Sam being set up by the government because they don't see Sam as their main hero. So they worked Sam so far deep into giving up the shield, and now him and Bucky are probably gonna have to get the shield back, obviously.
Yeah. I think it's really difficult with the whole Captain America and the Shield, because we saw, at the end of Avengers Endgame, Captain America was old and retired, so he gave up his, classic Captain America shield to Sam, to Falcon, and saying like, "Hey, you're the next Captain America," basically. And then we saw at the beginning of this episode Falcon give the shield up, like you were saying, and it's very complicated because I'm not sure what the moral of the story is. If he's giving the shield up to be his own hero, to step out of Captain America's shoes, but then it shows that like that idea was a mistake because the fact that he did that and gave it up gave rise to this new character, and I think it's incredibly obvious and transparent that the guy with the shield now is the bad guy that we saw that beat the crap out of that the dude. I don't know any of their names because these characters are so forgettable.
No, I don't. No, I don't think so at all.
I totally think that's going to be their twist. I bet you $1,000
No.
that their twist is the guy. What's the faction? The Red Hand or something or Red? Do you know what
The
faction's
Flag
called?
Smashers. The
Flag Smashers. Yeah, I guarantee. My personal opinion is that the head of the Flag Smashers, that super powered dude who was punching and kicking people up, he is their Captain America. And there's some conspiracy with like the government, and they're like trying to push him in, and for whatever nefarious reasons.
It's based off trailers. It seems like in the trailers, a girl. I don't know. I know she's in other stuff. She seems like she's the head of the group. So I don't think the twist would be a sidekick of the Flag Smashers. I think that Wyatt Russell's character in the comics wasn't that. And we also didn't get Zemo this episode. I think they would be throwing too many villains at you at one time that are too connected. I think you have to separate the villains a little bit. No?
No, I mean I agree. I don't want to see that twist, but I just
Okay.
that's what I thought, and I was like, oh my god, this is such a lazy thing to do, and I really hope this isn't the case. But that's the impression I got, that they were gonna that's what they were gonna be doing. But we'll have to wait and see how it actually turns out.
I actually really liked like the beginning and the opening. It made me really interested in Falcon, and right away, before I even knew anything, I knew it was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So right off the bat, I was like, "Oh, that's Falcon, got it." And like from there on out, I was able to like see that. But I really like the opening scene. The first thing I wrote down actually was, I really want to jump out of a plane now because they made it look so cool. Like they were in those little like suits and everything. I was like, oh my god, would I kill to jump out of an airplane right now and just like fly around? Like, how fun! So that was like the first thing I kind of wrote down. So I really like that scene, and I was hooked from him from the beginning. That's also because I'm not like a big like superhero person. I'm like, everything I think is really cool. So
Yeah, I think that's the best Falcon action, in my opinion, that we've gotten in the entire MCU. The opening. I don't think Falcon's had like that kind of action scene in any of the other movies. He's normally just a sidekick to everyone else doing other things. It was cool to see him, and also that's how you know the government was setting him up, because they just sent him in by himself. He had no help. He was just trying to save one military guy. It just didn't feel, the mission felt off to me, that the government was doing something weird, putting Sam in this position to do this. So, because that guy who Sam fights, he was hired by Nick Fury in The Winter Soldier to hijack that ship in the beginning. So it just feels all off to me. But I love Anthony Mackie too. I think Anthony Mackie's doing a great job. He's a really charismatic actor who I think takes Falcon to different levels than a normal, an average actor would do with the character.
Yeah, and I have on screen for all our viewers here the official ratings for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So it's currently at a 9.3 out of 10 on IMDb, or 8.3, 8.3 out of 10 on IMDb, 5 out of 5 on Common Sense Media, and 93% on Rotten Tomato. And honestly, the Rotten Tomatoes 93% score is what's really grinding my gears right now, because while I did enjoy this episode and I thought the Winter Soldier bits were really good and some of the Falcon bits were good and some were a little underwhelming, and it's a first episode, so we need to learn more. I did not think this deserves 93%. Like a solid 70, maybe high 70s%. That's what I would have given it. But this 93% rating makes me want to criticize this show more to kind of balance it out.
I wouldn't do. I wouldn't. I think everyone just has to make their your own opinion. I would give it like an 82% for me. Like that's what I would go. Extremely solid, and they did set up a lot more down the line than these next couple tests. They introduced the Flag Smashers. They introduced Wyatt Russell's Captain America. They introduced Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There's a lot they introduced, so I think we're gonna look back on this episode as a better episode. But there's only 6 episodes for the show. We only have 5 more episodes. It's only a 6-episode show, so they're gonna have to do a lot soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think with that being said, we can kind of close the door on some of our Falcon and the Winter Soldier topics for now.
Oh, here we go, Max. I know you've waited for this.
Before we jump into this, before we jump into Zack Snyder, I did want to quickly spend a second here touching on we got a new poster and along with a release date for Loki. So Loki is the TV show. Back. Yes. So Loki is coming out to Disney Plus as the next TV show after Falcon and the Winter Soldier and after the Black Widow movie. This is going to be coming out this summer, officially on June 11th. So I'm going to put the little poster up so everyone can see this here. And I might see if I can quickly send this to you guys.
Oh, and while you're going, I think that does make sense why they pushed it, because I think they want to give everyone a break. I think no one really got a break after WandaVision finished up. We went right back into Falcon Winter Soldier. Giving basically a month and a half off of TV, I think was a smart move by Marvel. Make everyone want a new TV show instead of just force feeding everyone into more stuff.
For sure. And
go
ahead.
Sorry.
No, you got it.
I honestly, like, when everybody was talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I honestly just thought it was a movie. I don't know why it didn't click that it was a TV show, but I was wholeheartedly expecting a movie, and then we're like, oh, it's a TV show. Is it so? Was WandaVision Marvel's like first official TV show?
The MCU, yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so it just keeps like going now. I guess everything's being like a TV show instead of a movie or like a series.
They're doing both. They're doing both. They doing both. So like they're doing, as Jacob said, they're doing Falcon Winter Soldier now. Black Widow movie is coming out in theaters in May. And then the Loki TV show is in June. So they're balancing both, I think, is what they're trying to do.
Oh my God, wow. And they're pumping out something every month.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
I mean, yeah. I just wonder, as a casual fan, it feels like, I wonder when we get back to movies, like the MCU films, past Black Widow, because I don't think Black Widow will be connecting to any of these TV shows. Will when you watch the movies, will you feel like you would have needed to watch the TV shows to get what's going on in a movie? Like in Doctor Strange 2, when Wanda shows up, would you have need to like if people didn't see WandaVision, would they be lost? That's why I think that the MCU has to balance is not everyone can watch literally every single thing. Casual fan, I mean. So I wonder how confused people are going to be if Wanda is acting obviously totally different from the last time in Endgame compared to WandaVision.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they handle everything. And if you guys check, I sent a message to the group chat with the picture for the poster for Loki. This just dropped the other day. And this is like kind of the new like first look at the character.
I saw this.
So if you remember from Avengers Endgame,
trailer was awesome.
Yeah, if you remember from Avengers Endgame, Loki got his neck snapped by or Infinity War, I mean. Loki got his neck snapped by Thanos, so he's dead. So now it's like, here's Loki. I guess this is gonna be this has to be taking place in the past at some point. I don't know how much information. No. It's not.
No,
how much information have they?
In the trailer, and they showed in the trailer in Avengers Endgame, when the Avengers go back to New York to the first Avengers film, when they capture Loki picks up the Tesseract and it takes him into a different thing. So Loki in that timeline is still alive. Yes. That's what this show is about.
So so it's the separate timeline of Loki.
Yes.
But if you look closely, there's like a GPS thing kind of around his neck. I wonder if that
Yeah,
is that like
he's in
his
prison. It
actual-
looks like, or
Yeah,
something.
he gets captured by Owen Wilson's group. Have you guys seen the trailer? The trailer's fantastic.
I might have to watch the trailer again.
Oh,
It's
I haven't watched the
fantastic.
trailer.
It's fantastic. So definitely check it out. So he's definitely captured, and this is where the multiverse stuff is going to really come into play with all the different timelines. I think Loki will be the first show to tap into that.
Yeah, for sure. And I just thought, just looking at the background, also, like I'm just inferring things about what I'm seeing from this poster. I'm getting a
Yeah.
real Doctor Strange vibe from the background. Also, I think I love the text that they have, the text for the title, and like the font and the style of the title for Loki. I think that's like really unique. And oh my God, I mean, he's such a good actor. I think
Yeah.
this is going to be. I'm so excited to have Loki back, even though it's not going to be the traditional Loki that we've been seeing. It's going to be like the other reality, another universe Loki type thing. But I'm still excited to see him back on screen. I think
Agreed.
there's a lot of potential for the character, and I'm excited that maybe we can finally have him more like focused on, because whenever we see him, it's either him and the Avengers or him and Thor. It's going to be nice to see Loki, a little bit more in the spotlight.
I agree. Definitely check out. That was my favorite trailer from all the TV shows, even more than WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier. Trailer wise, I am amped. I'm so pumped. It's in June too, like a week before my birthday, so I'm excited to watch Loki.
Absolutely. Well, with that being said,
Here we go.
Now, yes, now we can talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League. Oh my God, it's here! It's happening! It's happening. Spoilers for everybody who hasn't seen the 4-hour saga that is the Zack Snyder Justice League. I'll give a quick little background for Gabby and everybody else who doesn't know a lot about the situation. So in 2017 Justice League came out, the director for that film was Zack Snyder, and he's been doing a lot of he did Man of Steel, he did Batman versus Superman, so he's been the main director for the main DCEU movies. And while maybe 3/4 done Justice League, or pretty close to being done Justice League, tragedy hit Zack Snyder and his daughter committed suicide. So he had to step back from the role as a director and completely focus on his family and himself, which caused the Warner Brothers to hire a new director to finish out Justice League. They hired Joss Whedon, who now is in all this controversy with a lot of different things, but he was the director who did the Avengers movie from 2012, the classic, famous Avengers movie, the first ever Avengers movie, and Age of Ultron in 2015, the second Avengers movie. So both of those, I mean, Age of Ultron is a little criticized, but both those movies, for the most part, are very good movies. And especially the 2012 movie gets a ton of praise. So they brought him in, and when the movie released in 2017, Joss Whedon had rewritten, reshot, and did a lot of different work on these scenes. And we knew that he did a lot of different work, and he took out a lot of Zack Snyder stuff and put in a lot of his own stuff. And the movie was terrible, very, very poor. So I'll show a little. It
was a mixture, though. I'll be fair. It was a mixture of WB, Warner Brothers, and him, because Warner Brothers did force Snyder and Whedon to make a 2-hour film on the dot. Like, it couldn't go over 2 hours for some reason. And then obviously they added Joss Whedon in because he makes Marvel movies. So they wanted to make Justice League a Marvel movie, which isn't DC. So it just did not work.
Yeah, so it has a 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb, the original 2017 Justice League.
It's really high.
Yeah, it's actually kind of high for an IMDb rating, but the Rotten Tomatoes is a 40% and the Metacritic is a 45. So not a very good movie at all. The 40% is generous. This movie, I am a die-hard superhero fan. I mean, as you guys know, and this movie makes no sense at all. I mean, it's all over the place. There's no clear vision. The theatrical cut makes no sense. It's all over the place. It doesn't make. I don't know what's going on. The characters are completely different. It's very obvious that like this movie has parts that are like what Zack Snyder wanted, but then it just like someone else came in and just completely changed the vision of all the characters. These characters are built up through the different movies and different other shows that we've seen them in, and then they come into this movie and they're completely different and acting very strange, and there's no development for the characters like Cyborg and Flash. They don't get any character development or any background that builds them up, and who they are, what their motivation is, why they're here. There's none of that in the 2017 version of the film. So
Yes.
people thought, man, there is no way this movie is
No
supposed to
way.
be this bad. So there was tons of pushback, hashtag release the Snyder cut,
In the cast too. The cast too wanted to see the
actually,
Snyder Cut.
yes. So that was a
Yeah,
huge
I
deal.
saw it yeah.
Yeah. It was a massive deal, trending all over Twitter for years, and now 4
Years,
years
yeah.
later, they were able to convince Warner Brothers to let Zack Snyder cut his movie the way he wants it to and release it the way he wants it to on HBO Max. And so we get this 4-hour, dare I say, masterpiece. An epic movie.
Epic.
I don't know how. I wonder how this movie would have translated. When I watched this 4-hour bit, I mean, if I had to cut this to and keep it a great movie, I would. I don't think I could cut it less than 3.5 hours. And you could never
Yeah.
release a movie that long in theaters. So I have no idea how Zack Snyder was going to cut this movie, had he had stayed on. But regardless,
That's the benefits. That's the benefits of streaming. That's the benefits of this whole situation. That Warner Brothers just got a streaming service. HBO Max just debuted, and they could just use this as the jumping off point for the streaming service. And based on all the social media buzz, this was a huge, huge hit for the streaming service.
for sure. And I'll put the reviews up so everyone else can see this. So it has an 8.4 out of 10 on IMDb, which is up from, I believe, 6.3, and then a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is up about 33% from the previous movie, and then a 55% on Metacritic, which is up about 15%, or 10%, I should say. So definitely a higher reviews. People are seeing that it's better. I think a 73% Rotten Tomatoes on this is kind of strange when you see Falcon and the Winter Soldier gets a 93%. The disparity between Marvel and DC to me is very clear, that people see Disney and Marvel attached to something and then instantly give it a good review, and then see Zack Snyder and DC attached to something and instantly it just gets lower. I think the 73% is kind of ridiculous to me.
I'll add in there too. Snyder is probably the most divisive director we got out there. Every one of his movies, either people love or people hate. And I think this movie more positive than hate. But I know a lot of people who don't like this movie as well. So I think that it's just because Snyder, you go into a Snyder movie knowing what you're gonna get, and people sometimes don't like that. I like Snyder as a director a lot, so I was excited to see this movie. But I'm higher than 73%, just like Jacob. But I'm not like 90% or above. Like I'm right where like 85% is what I gave the movie on my review. So, but yeah, I can't wait to talk about this with you right now.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same wavelength as you. There's definitely good and there's bad parts about this film. What I loved is the character development. They're not afraid to take a character like Cyborg, who has never been in live action anything ever, and the stuff that he is in, he's mostly a background character. I mean, Cyborg is someone that's thought to have been a part of like the Teen Titans, kind of just like, he's in the little kitty superhero category with Nightwing or Robin, like the backup Batman characters. Basically, they're kind of thrown together as the side characters. That's what a lot of people, I think, have an impression of Cyborg as. So even when I heard back in 2017 that Cyborg was going to be one of the main Justice League characters, I thought, oh my God, no, I want Green Lantern. I want someone else. I want Martian Manhunter. I do not want Cyborg. I don't care about this character. I don't. He's not cool. He's not a main Justice League member to me. And man, was I wrong. I mean, when I saw the film, I thought, see, I'm right, the 2017 film. But after seeing this new, Snyder cut, I thought, oh my God, it's amazing. He works perfectly with the mother boxes. His abilities are so fleshed out. His
backstory with his mom.
Absolutely.
His mom was cut out of we missed a whole subplot with his mom. That was really hit me hard too. And him as a football player.
Yes, and his dad, Silas Stone.
His dad. He was my favorite part of the movie. And Snyder said that he was the heart of the movie. And I think everyone was like, Ray Fisher's just complaining to complain because he's not a main actor. he had a right to complain because this is a great star-making performance.
He was
and a
absolutely the
really
heart of this
great
film.
character.
He was absolutely the
Yes.
heart of this film, and if you saw the 2017 film, it is night and day. He looks like a side character, completely out of place in the
Yeah.
2017 film. It's like, dude, why is he even here? What does he do? But in
And I
this,
got pretty emotional to the mother box scene at the end, where when he goes inside the mother boxes, because the mother box wants to keep them together, it shows him his two parents and him as regular Victor Stone, and he's like, you know what? I'm not alone. I have people to care about me and I care about. That really hit me in the right way emotionally.
100%. And scenes like that are what allow a movie to work and also allow you to set up sequels and allow you to make a cyborg movie TV show, and it works. So I just would never, I just don't understand how WB or Joss Whedon would have looked at these cyborg scenes and thought, yeah, let's cut these out, especially
And
on top of the Flash scenes too.
And also, I talked about this with you guys a lot on the show. Affleck, who was a totally different Batman in the theatrical cut than he was in Batman v Superman. And I thought this was the best Batman that he's been in the theatrical cut and Batman v Superman. Now, do I think he's the best Batman? No. But his idea of him, like, during the first, I would say, hour of the movie, he's like, I'm failing, Alfred. I can't get the team together. No one's joining. I had faith, but it's not working. And then the idea of his mental, and he knows that he can't do the main stuff too. Like Superman and Cyborg and Flash have to do the mother box stuff. He has to get rid of all the monsters around him, which I thought was the right move. Batman is not a supernatural character. I thought they used Batman in the right way in this movie as well.
Yeah, my thoughts about that are kind of complex. I thought he was definitely better. This is the best Ben Affleck Batman we've seen yet, but
Yeah.
I still think the character is incredibly flawed. I think there's so many issues with casting an older Batman to fit in with a bunch of younger characters. Also, we wanted what was cool about Batman is his origin story, and I get we've seen that plenty of times before, but we with this Ben Affleck older Batman, we lose all of what makes Batman interesting. Seeing his adversity, him fighting against adversity, his battles with the Joker, or just him developing as a character. We don't see any character development. All his character development has happened off screen. It's happened before, and now he's just here and he's old and he's brooding. It's like I don't care about the fact that he's old and brooding, and I don't care that, like, for now all of a sudden he kills people because the Joker killed Jason Todd or something. It's like I don't care about that because we didn't see it.
Oh, so I want to add in here because the biggest theory. There's a huge theory on Twitter, and Snyder had it in his script in Justice League 2. I want to hear your thoughts. So I don't know if you realize this during the movie, but Lois is pregnant in the movie. When you go to Lois's house, you see that she has the pregnancy test in her drawer, and she obviously has a bump. Now, obviously, that can't be Superman's kid, because Superman's been dead for well over 2 or 3 years at this point. So what everyone's saying and what's in Snyder's script is that that's Batman and Lois's kid, which is really, really awesome if that's what it is.
Oh my
So what I've
God.
heard is that so Bruce and Lois came together over grief. Two people who lost a lot in their lives came together, had a relationship, but because of this whole situation, they had to bring back Superman. And I think Snyder did this because he wants to make this a dark Superman, which we saw in the epilogue at the end. I want to hear your thoughts on that theory.
Yeah, I think that definitely reminds me a lot of how they did Superman as a villain for the Injustice storyline and the
Yes.
Injustice video games. So if anyone's not familiar with that, Superman turns evil, and it's like, what would Superman be like if he was evil? And kind of like evil in a way that's like he's still sort of a hero, but now he kills bad guys, and he wants to protect the world by controlling everybody inside of it. So what turns him evil is the Joker uses a mix of Joker's laughing gas and Scarecrow's fear toxin and sprays it on Superman. So then Superman looks at his pregnant wife, Lois Lane, and he sees Doomsday instead of Lois. So to kill Doomsday, he takes Doomsday and brings him up into space. But it's not Doomsday, it's Lois. He's seeing Lois because of the fear toxin is changing what he sees. So he takes Lois up to space, and she dies because she can't breathe in space. So she dies, and her unborn child die. So Superman unknowingly kills his wife and his unborn child. And overcome with grief, he finds the Joker in prison and kills the Joker. And this sets off this path of evil and being and killing supervillains. And that is in the video games and the comic storyline of Injustice. So there's a clear parallel from that to this.
And in this movie, the epilogue, like the flashback or the flash forward, confirms Superman holding a corpse, and it's Lois. Mm-hmm. And it looks like Doomsday or Joker killed Lois. So and I wanted to ask you this as well. It did feel like we were watching some of these actors play the roles for the last time. Like, for some reason, when I was watching Superman, it felt like the last hurrah for Henry Cavill. It felt like the last time you would see Ben Affleck as Batman. It felt like a couple of the times it was the. Do you agree? I didn't take away from anything. Superman was awesome in this movie. I just don't. It felt like the last time we would see Cavill as the character, which is sad, in my opinion.
I didn't necessarily feel that way. However, now that you say this might be the last time we see Ben Affleck, please make that true. God, I hate him as Batman. He's so terrible. Please make it true. I want him gone. I never want to see him wear the cape again. I don't care how they do it. Just cut him out. Like, something happens, the world changes, Flash runs back in time, and Robert Pattinson's now Batman. That's all I want.
And,
that's all I want.
I also want to bring up the Wonder Woman aspect of the movie, because I think that's very important to talk about. They cut out a lot of Amazonian action in the theatrical cut. I couldn't believe how much was in the movie. And I thought they did a disservice to the female warriors in the theatrical cut, because when Steppenwolf shows up, he just kills everyone and just easily gets the mother box. Like, it takes him 2 seconds. But the Amazonian warriors give him a fair shot. They're shooting stuff at him. They throw the whole place where the mother box is into the river. Like, they actually compete. And in that Wonder Woman terrorist scene, why did they cut out the scene with the kid? Where the kid's like,
and they replaced that, and they replaced basically that scene with that weird scene where the Flash lands on Wonder Woman's breast, and it just creates this really awkward scene. So, Gabby, you might not know this. In the original 2017 cut of the movie, they're in one of their action set pieces against the final boss, Steppenwolf. There's a scene where like the Flash is sprinting and he trips over something and he lands into the breast of Wonder Woman, and then he gets up and he has this like boy look where it's like, oh my god, I landed on her breast, and then Wonder Woman has this mom look of like, okay, come on, let's fight. And then that was a scene that was added in the 2017 movie. But what they took out and basically replaced it with was this beautiful scene where Wonder Woman in this new version now, where Wonder Woman beats, kills, and defeats a whole room of terrorists. And at the end, she goes up to this little girl and says something, very sweet, like anybody can be a hero, or like, inspiring and it's sweet.
She was like, she said, can I be you when I grow up? And she said, you should be anything you want to be. And I got very emotional about that.
And that is the scene they cut out in place of this weird sexual scene that they added in.
It's a really good scene. Wonder Woman, by the way, is awesome. Like, Gal is really Wonder Woman, and what I like about her character too is that she's the only one that doesn't need any character development, because in the timeline she was already in BVS and her own movie. She already had her own movie. She didn't have to go so deep into background. She could just be in the movie and be a badass. And she chops off Steppenwolf's head. I was like, yes, that was a great scene.
100%.
A great scene. And also Steppenwolf, he was an upgrade in this movie.
Oh, looks
he
much
wasn't
better.
just, but also like character-wise, he wasn't just a big guy who wanted to blow up the world.
It's his scenes with Desaad and Darkseid.
Yes,
made him so much more fleshed out as a character.
He had a compelling story of he did something that Darkseid did that has not forgotten. Darkseid does not trust Steppenwolf anymore. So for Steppenwolf, he's trying to bring himself back into the good graces of Darkseid, which I thought made him a more compelling villain in the movie.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
It like really does sound like a good movie. I just don't know if personally I can sit through 4 hours of a movie.
Yeah.
But it honestly sounds good. Like if they just put in like basic like plot points, I'll be like, all right, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
and
make
like
it a drinking game, Gabby. Every time a character has some over-exaggerated exposition dialogue where they say something like that nobody understands, then you take a
no, no,
shot.
no. We should do slow mo. We should do every time there's a scene in slow mo because there's like 50 scenes. There's a lot of scenes that go in slow mo
Oh my
in the
gosh.
movie, which is one of my main issues with the movie. That
Or
too many times they do
or,
slow mo.
or every time there's a new scene that was added that wasn't in the original
Yeah,
cut, you drink.
there was a lot though. Like this
I
is a
know.
totally different
Oh,
movie,
yeah,
and
yeah.
not just that, but like I felt like the comedy in the 2017 movie was very forced and tried to be like Marvel.
Oh,
I felt like the comedy was so what do you call it? It's seamless into the movie. Like Flash's comedy felt right for the scene. He
I'm
wasn't
so
just telling
glad.
jokes the entire movie.
I'm so glad they took out that terrible comedic line from Batman where in
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Superman Superman grabs Batman and says, "Do you bleed?" You know, a reference to that terrible BVS line. And then when he throws Batman to the ground, Batman's like, "Oh, yeah, something's definitely bleeding." Like eh, that's
Oh yeah,
so lame. And then that weird forced Aquaman scene where he's sitting
yeah,
on the lasso of truth, and he doesn't
yeah.
know he's sitting on the lasso of truth. So he says to Wonder Woman, "Oh my God, you're like the most beautiful woman I've ever seen." And everyone's like,
Yeah.
"Wait, why did Aquaman just say that?" And he gets up, and it's because he was sitting on the lasso of truth. So it creates this
Um,
weird sexual chemistry between Batman and Wonder Woman, and Flash and Wonder Woman, and Aquaman and Wonder Woman. It's just very strange.
And I want to talk about Aquaman too a little bit. So I didn't even know Willem Dafoe shot anything for this movie. By the way, did you know Willem
No,
Dafoe,
and it
who was in
makes
Aquaman?
Aquaman so much better. It would have
I
made it.
know, but also Amber Heard is terrible. I don't know why she has a British accent in this. Like, where did that come from? She didn't have that in the theatrical cut. She didn't have it. She had a British accent. I was like, what is going on? I couldn't believe. And she's in a movie a lot more than I thought. By the way, I did not think Mira would be in the movie that much. She's in it a lot.
They did a lot in this movie to set up Cyborg, Flash, um,
Aquaman.
yeah, Aquaman, and even do like way more background on Superman and like what happened to
Yeah.
him and his conversations with Lois and everything.
And
I
dude,
just
when Superman looks at Flash, when Flash is running behind him in that scene where the Justice, it's one of the coolest superhero scenes
yeah,
I think in a long time. Like, and I think we have to talk about the epilogue, because the ending where we get the nightmare sequence, and then we get what's funny is that the Lex Luthor, what's the other
Deathstroke.
superhero's name? Deathstroke. The dialogue is completely different
Hmm.
in because in the Snyder in the theatrical cut, um, Lex Luthor was just like, well, you got to form an injustice team to fight the Justice League. But in this cut, he says that his name is Bruce Wayne, which
Yes,
basically sets up a Batman movie with Deathstroke as the villain.
yeah.
If I'm not
Lex
mistaken.
Luthor outs Batman's identity as Bruce Wayne to Deathstroke, which is one of Batman's biggest villains. So it sets up
Which
that
I
for
thought was a
sure.
cooler scene, which I thought was also, but Jared Leto's Joker still doesn't work for me. I don't know if
It's
you felt
better.
like this.
It's better.
It's way too, but his I don't know his interaction with Batman it didn't really hit for me as much as other people are saying it did, in my opinion.
I agree. His Joker felt like he was really trying to be Heath Ledger, but like that's okay. If you are gonna tell me that Jared Leto's Joker, that Joker, is now gonna be in these DCEU for a time period, I'm totally fine with that. He wasn't bad at all to me, but like there's no way he's ever gonna be as good as other Jokers. He's not going to be as good as Joaquin Phoenix. He's not, no ways he's as good as Heath Ledger, and
Jack
he's not
Nicholson.
good as not as good as Jack Nicholson. He's not even as good as like the animated Jokers, like the Mark Hamills and stuff. So
Mark
he's
Hamill. Yeah.
absolutely one of the worst Jokers, but he's not bad at all. He's much much better than how he was in
Yeah.
Suicide Squad, or other versions of him we saw. So he's solid. He's fine. He's not
I just felt
outstanding, but he's fine.
I just felt like that scene was way too long. Like I felt that was the only time in the movie where I felt like something was
Also,
dragging.
Mira
like,
was so out of place.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And
I agree.
I saw someone say, and I totally thought this was much better. Imagine if instead of Mira, it was Orm instead.
I know.
That would
Yeah,
have been so much better.
Or Manta at that point, because
Yeah.
Manta also. But yeah, Orm makes sense too. But we also got Martian Manhunter, which I know as comic book fans, that was a pretty geeky moment. I definitely lost my. I couldn't believe he was in the movie.
Yeah, and actually, I'm really glad he was in it. And we had some leaks before, so I think everybody knew that he was the general, from Man of Steel. That's
Yes.
been leaked for a while now.
Mhm.
And I assumed he was gonna come into this movie since it was so long. But I didn't guess it would be that scene. But also,
Crazy.
as much as I'm so glad he was in it, did not like the CGI at all. Didn't care for it. I thought he looked very poor.
I also don't get why he hasn't helped in the past. Like these are some big events. Like, oh, now I'm gonna show up.
Yeah, like in Man of Steel, where was he? Like we knew he saw him. He was there. He could have been fighting.
For this movie, like other than being Clark's mom for a scene, which I thought was also a very good scene. I agree. But also we have to talk about the hashtag restore the Snyderverse, because we're not sure if Snyder's going to get to continue this story, or we're going to see a lot of these, or we might see a lot of these actors play these roles again. Do you want to see his story? I know you're not a big fan of BVS. Do you like Man of Steel?
I do, but it has issues. It's a solid. It's
But-
a B movie.
so
High C
you're
plus B
very-
movie.
yeah. So you're not a huge fan of both those films. It seems like you like this one way more than both those films. So if that's true, do you want to see Snyder get the opportunity to do Justice League 2 and 3, which is what his original goal was?
Well, it's been leaked. It's unconfirmed, but it's been leaked online what the whole plan is for his other movies.
Yeah.
So I've read
Yes.
the entire outline of their script, and I trust it because this script outline came out before Zack Snyder's Justice League came out, and they basically got everything right from that film. So it's pretty credible that what was in this leak is what was planned for these upcoming movies. Would I like to see it? Yes, only because I know it's going to be better than anything WB puts out otherwise. But I don't. I want more than that. I don't think Zack Snyder is a great director. I think he's solid. I think this movie was 4 hours long and it was barely good. Like, I think a lot of other directors could have made this movie much better. And I think he doesn't know how to use his characters. I think Superman was portrayed horribly in Man of Steel. He doesn't understand Superman's character at all. I think he's a fundamental misunderstanding of Superman as a character. This movie is still entertaining, Man of Steel is, and there's still really good moments in it, but I think he fundamentally doesn't understand the character, and especially Batman too. And it's so obvious in Batman vs Superman, which is a horrible movie. He doesn't understand either character. And then in this movie, I still think Batman is terrible, and I think Superman is fine, but he still has issues understanding like what makes Superman a character. He focuses more on this godlike, idea of Superman. Superman cares and fights for the little guy. That's all he wants to protect the little guy. He's not, and so by doing that, he tries to he stops the bad guys. But these scenes in Man of Steel where he's destroying the city, he would never do that. He would do anything to destroy a building or just to stop himself from killing the thousands of people that died in the process. That is not Superman's character at all. So as much as, yes, I would like to see Zack Snyder's future movies because I think he could do a much better job than what Warner Brothers has been doing, and what I think Warner Brothers would do. I also would rather see a director that knows these characters, like a Russo brothers, who just lives and breathes Captain America, who just understands these characters at such a deep level and can really make something, comic book accurate or accurate to what they represent.
What it did well for me is that it got me excited for Flash, the Flashpoint movie, because I think Flash was terrible in the theatrical cut.
Yeah.
And I thought he had a lot more to do, and he was really the key because him reversing time saved everything, which I thought was awesome. So I'm really pumped to see the Flash movie. I want to see Ray Fisher play this character again. I really want. I don't think Cyborg needs a movie, but I want to see Cyborg in another I want to see Snyder continue this vision, because I love this cast too much, in my opinion. Like, I love even Amy Adams, right? She's great as Lois Lane, and there's a lot of greatness in the movie, and Darkseid has to come back at some point. You know what I mean? Like, they set up that Darkseid is pissed off of Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf gets killed in front of him. So we obviously know Darkseid is going to come back, because Darkseid lost his last battle on Earth, getting the mother boxes with that flashback. And he also looked very cool, by the way. Darkseid looked very awesome. So I would like to see Snyder get the chance, because I also think all these actors would come back for him. It seems like all these actors are extremely loyal to Snyder, because they all were the ones begging for people to see this movie. So I feel like if Snyder gets a chance to do a Justice League 2, let's say we don't get 3, let's say we do Justice League 2, I think Henry Cavill would come back as Superman, honestly, just because it's Snyder, in my opinion. I think he would bring back, I think Affleck would come back. I think a lot of these actors would come back, because all these actors wanted this movie to be seen by everyone.
For sure. All right. Well, with that being said, I think we should wrap up the episode here. So, thank you guys for watching. Go ahead.
Really quick.
Go ahead.
I want to hear your thoughts on this. Really quick. Where does this rank for you on the DCEU? This movie.
Because
that's how I'm trying to see how people are really liking it or not liking it. How they rank it.
I think I have to criticize the fact that it's 4 hours long, so I'm gonna put it below. I would put it below Man of Steel, below the first Wonder Woman movie, but definitely below Shazam, Birds of Prey, and it probably slightly below the first Aquaman movie, because I respect Aquaman for, like, I think Aquaman had a lot of, like, was really ballsy making that movie. So I think I'd put Zack Snyder's Justice League below all those, but definitely this movie is head and shoulders above its original, and its original film, and it's better than BVS, better than Suicide Squad, better than Wonder Woman 1984. All those. But yeah, I think that's about where I'd rank it.
I have it as my second. I think it's the second best DCEU film. I think only Man of Steel is better, because I feel like this film was so consistent, has a lot of great character development. Everyone has great character development. I just like it better than Wonder Woman, the first one, because I hate the third act of Wonder Woman, the first one. It really kills it for me from being that special of a movie. I think it's very good. Like, the first 2 acts are fantastic, but the third act does kill a lot of its. It's my third favorite. It's not terrible, I'm just saying. But I
get that.
I haven't felt this way watching a superhero movie really since Endgame, honestly. When I was getting goosebumps a lot of the time. I was very emotional during the movie. I don't know. So it brought something out of me that I think DC has needed since Nolan's Dark Knight films, where it brings you that kind of emotion into the movie. What I'll say is, if you haven't seen, you do have to see Man of Steel and Batman v Superman to get this movie, in my opinion. This movie feels like it's in the same universe as those 2 movies. If you haven't seen those movies, you probably have to before watching the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I agree with everything you're saying. I think we just have to stay tuned and wait for some more news. We're definitely going to be covering all types of Snyder Cut news on this channel, on this podcast. So, if any more information comes out about restoring the Snyderverse and getting these future films back, and Zack Snyder kind of regaining control of the DCEU, we will be the first ones to cover it. And, with that being said, we've gone a little over our time, so I do think we have to start wrapping up the episode here. No problem at all. We definitely appreciate all the insight that you bring. But right, so that has been our episode of the Movie Mafia. Stay tuned for our next episode. We're gonna keep talking Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm sure more Snyder Cut news is gonna come out. But yeah, that's been us from Jacob, Gabby, Max. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.